having a lot of self-compassion. Actually, I think that was one of the first places to start because you get down on yourself, like, feel some shame of like, why can't I keep up with everything? I know that I'm capable of so much, and why can't I do it?
Welcome to the Advanced Women's Health Podcast, where we empower women with the latest insights and advice on holistic health. From cutting-edge medical research to practical wellness tips, our mission is to help you thrive at every stage of life. Join us as we explore topics ranging from hormonal balance and reproductive health to nutrition and mental well-being. Whether you're seeking solutions for a specific health concern or simply want to enhance your overall wellness, you're in the right place. Let's embark on this journey to better health together. This is the Advanced Women's Health Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so excited to talk to Dr. Andrea today from our Sudbury clinic. We are going to be chatting about burnout. We're probably going to end up talking about kids' immune systems because Andrea has twins, and I am currently shooting tinctures right now because my child is sick. So work with me as we go.
Got a call from the daycare that diarrhea is going around, so we are, all hands on deck.
Exactly. So, as usual, this conversation is going to go into what we think we're going to talk about and then what we actually love to talk about. So, you guys are in for a treat. But as we dive in, Dr. Andrea, give us a rundown who you are, what you're about, and what you love to treat.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Sarah, for this opportunity. It's been wonderful working with you and your team. So I think I'll just start off with what drew me to naturopathic medicine and why I love what we do. And it goes back all the way to when I was a kid, basically. I was always fascinated with the human body. Like my favorite toy that I remember was Operation of dissecting little organs from the
Mine was
toy.
Baby Feel So Real. Do you
Yeah.
remember Baby Feel So Real? Did you
Oh
have
no.
that?
No, I don't know that one.
So Baby Feel So Real. Now, I'll just as an aside, Baby Feel So Real is a baby, but it was like physiological weight and it was filled with gel, but it had all of the bones.
Oh,
So you could
wow.
feel all of the little bones in the
I
baby. It
would
was
have
called Baby Feel So
loved
Real.
that. No.
It was phenomenal.
No, I don't remember that one, but I definitely remember Operation. Also, in our local science center, there's an area all about human bodies. And so I remember the
Oh,
skeletons
cool.
there and you can pick up different organs and stuff. So yeah, I was always very interested in the human body and how it functioned. So there's that piece. But another passion of mine when I was a kid was the nature. If you ask my mom, I was always outside. We grew up in Sudbury. We had a big plot of land. I was always in the backyard, having sit spots, collecting rocks and caterpillars and pretend potions and things like this. I just love being outside, and that's still true to this day. I thrive when I'm outdoors. And so they're those two pieces where I've always been passionate about it. Growing up, my mom always referred to me as her sick kid. When I was 18 months old, I was hospitalized for asthma. And as far back as I could remember, I remember my dad holding the aero chamber and pressing down the puffer
Yeah.
and counting down, holding my breath. That was just a part of growing up. And whenever I would get sick, it was I was really sick. I was always on allergy medications. It sucked. I hated being a sick kid. I had digestive stuff and all that. So when I became a teenager, I was really interested in why am I always feeling sick like this? And my favorite place to go when I was 13, 14 was our local health food store. I just,
That's so fun.
going through a supplement
I don't
store
think we
and,
had a local health food store when I
oh,
was
yeah,
13. I love that.
yeah, shout out to Paris Natural Foods.
I was actually there when I was in Sudbury.
Were
Great
you?
little joint. Gotta love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was always going down the aisles there, just checking out different supplements and herbs and whatnot. I was always just very drawn to it. I would go to the bookstore and buy natural medicine textbooks and read them. I don't know. It was just always something that I was super drawn to, but I never knew naturopathic medicine existed. Actually, what I thought that I was always going to be was a doctor, a medical doctor. So my dad was a medical doctor. And I remember when I told my bubby, this is my grandmother growing up, that that's what I wanted to be. I was probably 6 years old. It stuck for her. And having a Jewish grandmother, she's going to be a lawyer. She's going to be a, that was, so
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
that was the
She was
expectation.
like,
So
appropriate path. There
yeah,
we go.
exactly. So it was just I grew up kind of with that expectation, and that was always where I was driven to. So then discovering this whole other natural world, I'm like, okay, this is like, this feels more in line with what I'm in tune with because I hated going to the doctor. I hated being on
Yeah.
puffers. I hated being on medicine. When I was first getting my period, it was always painful. It was irregular. It was heavy. I had depression before the period. Like it was always something that took me out. And I remember going to my doctor at the time, just being like, okay, like
I'm not
this
okay.
sucks. Help
Yeah.
me. And I don't blame the medical field. Their tools are the oral contraceptive pill and antidepressants and pain relievers. That's fine
Yeah.
if that's what you want, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted to really like understand why I was experiencing these things and like what could I do in my life that could make that experience better.
So
Um,
when did you find out about naturopathic medicine?
yeah, okay, it's so ridiculous, but I don't know about you. So I was born in 88, and when I was in grade 10, we had this course, I'm pretty sure it was a course called Careers, and there was this software.
I
Do you
just
remember?
spoke for a careers class the other day.
Did you? Okay, so they
Yeah,
still
my
have
friend
it?
teaches careers, and she was like, "Can you come tell these high school students like what a naturopathic doctor is and that
Yeah.
they can be successful?" I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do
Amazing.
it."
Oh, awesome. I'm so glad that you did that because I had no idea it existed. My family had no idea it existed, but it was this careers class and there was a survey or a quiz that I remember like everyone like lined up at a computer, like we all had our spot at the time
Yeah.
and filled out this quiz. And a few days later, when we got all the results, one of the top results was a naturopathic doctor. And I'm like, what is this?
The fact that that made it onto the
I
thing, that was
know.
never
I
on mine
know. And that was
ever.
like
Yeah.
20 years ago.
So crazy.
It was so crazy. So, but that was like really my aha moment of like, okay, this is where my career is going. This is exactly what I wanted to do. Like it was already, I was already reading textbooks about how to heal myself naturally. I was already on Vitex. So it just
Oh,
kind
I
of
love
hit.
that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I got into it.
So I talk about this all the time. There's something so powerful about having to be your own doctor first and your
Mm,
own advocate first. Because I was the same. Like, so Aiden, my youngest, was really sick this week and couldn't breathe at a couple
yeah.
points.
Oh,
And the whole house is up when the kids don't breathe, right?
yeah.
So my
Yeah.
mom's
Yeah.
like, "Are we going to be taking him outside?" Because when I was little, that was the thing. I got pneumonia twice a year, every year, classic.
Yeah.
And my parents would bundle me up. It would be February, like -20, and we're sitting outside so that I could breathe the
Yeah.
cold air.
Oh my
Like
God.
yeah,
I
there's
did
so
that
many
exactly
memories
last year.
associated with yeah,
So
it's
hard.
crazy. It's so
Yeah.
hard. Exactly. So then how does that bring you to what you treat now and like
Oh,
what you have embraced in naturopathic medicine now?
yeah. So at the time, I never really like had that focus. It was just like this general like naturopathic medicine without like what are you actually going to treat? So when I did get into practice, it was like, oh my God, like there are so many ailments. I don't even know where to start. It definitely took some time to really figure out what types of conditions I resonated with treating. And so it's completely evolved over the last couple of years that since I've been working. And I find and yeah, it's funny, like different like types of patients will gravitate to you at different times, especially like based on what your energy is and what you're experiencing. So I'm a young mom of 3-year-old twins. It's hard, right? Trying to, balance a household, balance a career, being a caretaker for them. And, it could be a lot. And so, I found after their first year, like I really hit this period of burnout, like just complete exhaustion. Like you're saying, we develop the wisdom from having experienced different things. So, like, I've experienced all the menstrual stuff. I thought that that would be something that I train, which I do. But like lately, I think the gravitation has been just women coming to me who are just so tired, so brain foggy, so irritable and moody, not sleeping, gaining all of those things. And I'm like, oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
I've been
It's
there.
so true.
Yeah.
So true. It can be such a like practice can be such a mirror, right?
Hmm.
Because the work we do is so energetic. You end up bringing in people that is a good and a bad thing. Part of it's like, oh man, I am in this position now where I need to be my best so I can help people through it.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
faced with someone who's going through the same stuff as you, and you're like, well, I guess I better make this up because I
Yeah.
want to help them so
No,
desperately, right?
exactly. exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it took me time to really figure out how to navigate that so that I could show up for my family and for my patients. And, it wasn't an easy path whatsoever, but I think part of it in what I see in myself and what I'm starting to see in other patients, which like something that was holding me back, is this all or nothing mentality, which never works. So either I'm doing all of the things, like I'm going to be, good sleep hygiene, I'm going to be like eating all balanced meals, I'm going to be exercising, I'm going to do all of these things and like all of the foundational pieces, but if one of those drops, it doesn't mean that all of the other pieces have to drop too. I find that women who come in to see us, it's just like, well, I am overwhelmed with trying to do all of those things. And what I learned in the journey is like, okay, just choose one of them. It doesn't have to be everyone, and we can build on that. So that was, yeah, a little piece of wisdom that I've picked up over the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about burnout, I think it's a really important conversation to have because when people think of burnout, they think about mental emotional burnout and that being the piece. So I would love if you could dive into what are a few of the different factors that can contribute to burnout first, and then we'll get into what the path out of it looks like because it is such an important conversation.
Yeah, totally. The mental emotional piece, at least in my experience, I think that's the biggest thing that's underlying because it's causing you to lack that motivation, first of all, to be doing all of the things that you should be doing. But it's holding you back from doing those things, which kind of perpetuates that cycle. I think that really, in my experience and with working with patients, has been one of the biggest things. What about you? Give me some ideas. Maybe some stuff will start to flow for me.
Yeah, I love leading into a conversation talking about mental emotional health because that's a symptom
Mhm.
that people feel in a really big way.
Yeah.
And what I always dive into and dig through is anxiety and depression has been shown to be caused by inflammation and insulin
Mm,
resistance,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nutrient deficiencies can cause immense amounts of mental emotional states, depression, things like that.
Mhm.
The imbalances in the gut microbiome, right? Like I love to get into burnout from those core
Yeah.
places because it's really empowering. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but
Mhm.
a period of life when you and I were having these conversations about burnout, there was so much of the world that was falling in around you, right? As you've
Mhm.
mentioned, you're
Yeah.
Jewish, there was all the
Yeah.
political things happening. There was just so much. And we don't need to get into the depths of it, but
Mhm.
none of that you could control,
Yes,
right? And
exactly.
so when we look at that lens, there's so much you still can. And I
Mhm.
think that was something I witnessed you do was
Mhm.
be like, okay, what can this I can't control.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of twins. I'm pretty much solo parenting right now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other things happening in the world, but what can I do?
Yeah.
Where can I give myself grace? Where can I give myself space?
Yeah.
I think when you're in the depths of burnout, we inevitably in our profession, I
Mhm.
find, do it anyways. It's
Mhm.
like you were having conversations, you're like, I found mold. What do we do? Right? Like that's you knowing that your
Yeah.
immune system is involved in this and
Yeah.
trying to clean it up, right?
Yeah.
Jumping on supplements is you knowing that you can take herbs to
Yeah.
regulate and do things. And so
Yeah.
I think there's a huge difference between that space of the world crushing in on you
Mhm.
and still knowing that there's very massive real things happening
Mhm.
and you can still change your physiology
Yeah.
by addressing some of the other pieces.
Yeah, totally. And part of that was having a lot of self-compassion. Actually, I think that's that was one of the first places to start because you get down on yourself, like, feel some shame of like, why can't I keep up with everything? I know that I'm capable of so much, and why can't I do it, right? And I see this in my office all the time of like people just not reaching those expectations that they hold of themselves. And so I think like a big piece, of course, like I always recommend therapists and just trying to like reframe that attitude about situations, right? Especially like young new moms who suddenly have a whole human to care for, right? It's so overwhelming and like they want to get back to their life that it was before their baby was born at the same time as being the best parent that they can. And so like not in everybody, but if you're like a high achiever like I can be, just kind of like lowering the bar just a little bit so that, and not also doing it all. And like you were saying, the physiological pieces of taking care of ourselves. So, nutrition for one, when our nervous systems are like completely dysregulated, sometimes people forget to eat or they overeat, right?
The
And
wrong things often too. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And like, as hard as it is to prioritize that in the midst of all of the things, I mean, like I said, just choose one thing. I think personally, and for a lot of patients, it's eating protein in the morning. Like, start your day off with a non-negotiable piece of protein, whatever that is, if that's a smoothie, if that's yogurt, if that's eggs, meat, whatever it be.
I
It's
am famous
yeah,
for a couple of pieces of meat and
yeah.
wrap it in half an avocado and run out the
Oh,
door.
that
Like
sounds
I'm like,
great.
just this is what we gotta do here today.
It's perfect though. You're getting your healthy fats in there, you're getting your protein, you're not spiking your blood sugar. And but that's just it. Like I find too that women who are burnt out, they're just like, I'm just starting my day with a piece of toast because I'm not hungry anything. It's like anyway, it's all I can really stomach and I know I'm supposed to eat something. But then they're crashing by the afternoon where they just have this total brain fog. They're so exhausted. They feel like there's something wrong with them. They go to their doctor, all of their blood work is quote unquote normal.
No.
And like you can just like, okay, well, how are you fueling yourself? You're hardly eating throughout the day. What you are eating is basically higher carbohydrates, and then you're binging at night on all of the foods because you're just so hungry and overwhelmed. And maybe the kids are asleep now and it's
Depleted.
like your time, right? And it just makes the cycle worse. It makes your sleep worse. So then if you're eating a lot right before bed, then that's causing you to wake up and have insomnia and then making you tired. Like it's I can just see how how it's
Yeah.
all connected. Yeah.
Let's break down that physiological cycle actually,
Mm,
because I
okay.
think it's such an important one. When you start your day with your insulin high, and we've talked about
Mm,
insulin before on the podcast, right? It's the hormone that is taking blood sugar and shunting it away. So when you start your day with your insulin high, your glucose oftentimes can go low on the back end
mhm.
of it, especially when it's just simple carbs.
Yes.
And that triggers a cortisol response,
Mhm.
which then raises your blood sugar again because blood sugar to your brain is an incredibly important thing,
Yeah.
right? And then that raises your insulin
Yep.
again, which is then going to take that glucose and either help you use it or put it
Mhm.
in your fat cells. This is why I say, ladies and very few gentlemen listening, like you can auto generate fat. That
Mhm.
research has been done. You can use cortisol to get your liver to make glucose and then feed forward and store that as fat and start the whole cycle again. So
Yep.
that is a whole nother conversation for another day. And everyone's just like, whoa, 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 stay here. But we're not. So walk me through then from that place. Your blood sugar's all over.
Yeah.
What is going on at that deeper level in the evening when people feel like they need to binge? And then how is that affecting recovery sleep? Let's jam on that because
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that people think about very often. They just think, oh, I'm tired and I have no willpower. So I just hoovered whatever food was available.
Mhm.
So walk me through what the alternative is from a physiological perspective.
Well, not eating before bed, but how do we not do that is by making sure that we do prioritize those balanced meals throughout the day. It's as simple as that. I mean, I hate to say it's so simple because it is not an easy thing for everybody to put into practice and it can be very overwhelming, especially if you don't know how to properly fuel yourself. It can be daunting like, "Oh, I how do I even prepare this?" It can be hard. Yeah. But essentially, if dinner can be the last meal, that will really set you up for success because then if you're not eating throughout the night, then hopefully your sleep is going to be better. You'll get into a deeper sleep, have less 3 a.m. wake ups like everybody that I
Yeah.
know with insulin resistance has. You'll have been fasted for at least 12, maybe 14, up to 16 hours by the time an appropriate breakfast is, right? And to get that insulin like back down to the level that we want it to be. There's nothing fancy to it, really. Just,
Well,
yeah.
I think I said this to a patient the other day, and I think it's a really important conversation to have here. Your body knows what a balanced meal is, whether your brain does or not, right? We overthink it. But your body has a protein requirement in terms of how much protein we need to get from our food in order to be successful and to function, right? Your body has a requirement for the types of amino acids it needs, which comes from that protein. Your body has a requirement for the nutrients that it gets from food. Carbohydrates, arguably, many people say they're optional. I wouldn't disagree. I think some carbohydrates are good.
Yeah.
But when we sit in that camp, like if you are not getting what you need, your body will try to create a communication pathway in your brain to help you to understand you need those nutrients.
Yeah.
It backfires in today's world where I was looking at a study graph the other day and it just like hit me.
Yeah.
10 it was like 10% of the household budget in Portugal is dedicated to processed foods.
Okay.
In France it was like 15, in Spain it was 18. In North America it's like 70
Doesn't
plus percent.
surprise me at all. At all.
Right? And so if
Yeah.
all you have around is nutrient deplete foods that are hijacking your brain and your body needs nutrients, if you have undereaten all day and you are nutrient devoid and deplete, you will have a drive towards eating.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but when I'm exhausted at 8 o'clock at night, if I haven't eaten well that day,
Mhm.
my brain doesn't go to the space of like, let's sit down, cook up some meat, have some Brussels on the go. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
So it's
We are ordering pizza and I am just chilling and yeah.
exactly. And so it's
Yeah.
this like conflict of physiological need
Yeah.
with current food environment that
Exactly.
results in people getting into these cycles. And
Yeah.
I've talked about it before, but when your brain, when you have a lot of insulin circulating, your brain is just so hijacked to look for more reward and get a bigger dopamine hit from
Mhm.
food. And
Yes.
so you will find pleasure in food, and for a lot of people, it becomes this cycle of looking for actual nutrition we need
Yeah.
and then getting this dopamine hit
Mhm.
and then falling further down the hill
Mhm.
of more addicted to the food, needing more nutrition, and not being able to break that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny, right? We talk so much about support and like getting support, but
Mhm.
so few people talk about getting support in food, right? Like I had a meal
Yes.
delivery service bring our food for this week. It's a very privileged thing. I understand that. I'm stating that. But the reality is I knew I was going to be in no place to
Yeah.
cook balanced meals and vegetables. And they're like $12 a meal. It's not
Ex No,
expensive.
exactly, and I find that
Yeah.
that too is like it is a big barrier for the people who come in who are just overwhelmed with like, well, I don't have time to do that. And also, I resonate with that as well. So, my family, my kids, we live off of rotisserie chickens. They are
Yeah.
already prepared. They are easy. You can cut up that chicken, shred it any way. I used to be, before having kids, everything was made from scratch and, very clean. And okay, I just, again, lowering those expectations, like that is not going to happen for probably a while, and that is okay. And I'm going to buy the store-bought sauce because it is made and it is easy, and I'm going to throw it on the chicken and call it a meal. I'm going to microwave my frozen vegetables. They don't need to be like
Absolutely.
beautifully, there are still convenience foods, but it's just having the tools to know which ones to choose and how to apply that. But like, yeah, I totally get it. That in itself, when you're overwhelmed, it's like, well, how am I supposed to prepare my family? Like good meals. It's yeah.
Absolutely. I know I always say in my brain, there's always like a baseline meal and then there's like pie in the sky. And the baseline meal for me always used to be frozen veg and eggs. I always
Oh
had
my
them in the
God.
house,
God bless
no
eggs.
matter what. I
So
know, right?
fine.
And I
I
can't
get
eat eggs
vegetables in them.
anymore.
It's oh, really? Oh my God.
That's why we bought chickens, because I wanted to see if I feed them, if I control the chicken's food, if I can
And
better tolerate them. I
have they
haven't tried it
produced
yet.
them
I've
yet?
been a chicken, to be honest. I've been a chicken. Oh my God, I'm so funny. In moments like this, people get a really, really good idea of what our daily calls look like
Yeah.
because we're all just
And
like
we're all just so fascinated by
delusional.
the chickens. I cannot wait until I have my own chickens. Oh my God, how amazing is that?
My husband says so. My husband works for us, but he
Yeah.
also works for another company as well and does their marketing. And they gave him, those like they'll buy an animal for a person in a third world country.
Oh wait,
And
no, I
so
don't
they
know that.
bought chickens. Oh,
Okay.
it's this charity organization. I can't remember the name or I'd give them a shout out. Someone bought me a pig one time. It was the funniest gift I've ever been given, but I loved it. So essentially, you pay the organization, and then the organization gives livestock to a family in a third world country in need. Like someone bought me a pig because I love pigs, and they were
Yeah.
like, "This is a mother pig that's pregnant that can now give food and an economy to this woman in a country." And it was like it's
Wow.
this whole story. I love it. It's
Okay.
so close to my heart. But
Yeah.
my husband just got chickens given to this community, and I was like, "Oh, we're chicken people now."
Yeah. Love that.
Anyways, on track. Moral of the story is
Yeah.
get a baseline, right?
Mhm.
Find a baseline meal that is not sexy, that is not perfect, that
Yeah.
meets your nutritional needs,
Yeah.
and create three of them. Like in our
Yeah.
household, we always have those three variations. We have this really, it's called Maria's noodles.
Mm.
It's pasta that is like 19 grams of protein, but it's made from one ingredient. So it's just lentils or just peas or just, and my kids love it.
Yeah.
It's super high in protein.
Yeah.
It's a great way for them to get food. We mix some vegetables into it and down the chute it goes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's one of my go-tos as well. Not the Marys, but yeah, just any type of bean pasta. My kids don't even notice the difference of it. I mean, I don't know if they've ever no, no, they've had like normal pasta before, but they love it. I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Today's episode is brought to you by none other than Advanced Women's Health. If you are interested in diving in deeper to your health, if you are finally ready to feel like yourself, and you are finally over hearing everything's normal, everything's fine, and you want a deeper dive into your healthcare, then we are here to help you. We are currently helping patients in British Columbia and Ontario, Canada. But don't worry, if you're in another province, still reach out, get added to the wait list as we expand coast to coast. We cannot wait to work with you. Check out the show notes for more information on how to get started.
So then transitioning out of that, what's the top two tests you do for burnout? And then what are some of the treatment pathways you take with people?
Oh, top two. This is another thing that I love about what we can do is just our access to blood work. It can just tell us so many things. So just two, I don't know, that's hard because they all come together, right? The things that I look for especially are iron and iron dynamics. That can really give us an understanding of like, okay, are you eating? Right? Are
Yeah.
you eating enough of those things? Thyroid comes into the mix. And of course, Dr. Sarah, the insulin glucose challenge, it tells us so much information. And I love using it because people know that they're tired. They know that they're burnt out, but sometimes just seeing it on blood work is just like, okay, what can I do? And then it brings us back to like, okay, how can I physiologically support this with protein? But just like you said on this insulin glucose challenge, we can see like you're not sleeping well. You're starting off with like really high insulin, for example. We're going to see it spike where sometimes it's going to come down and then go right back up. Like that right here, we can see your stress response is activated in this period of time. And I think that really resonates with a lot of people to finally say like, ah, there's something on my blood work that explains my symptoms, because a lot of people and me too, like I want and not that I want to see that things are like off with it because I want to be in good health, but sometimes like it's just
If
you
I
want
feel
an
like shit, show me
explanation.
the shit.
Exactly. You just want an explanation for like why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And so it also just gives us some direction of again, we're going to go back onto fueling properly. That is such, I
Yeah,
think, at least for me and for a lot of my patients, this is a huge foundational piece is just fueling appropriately for the nervous system.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we've got those, and I totally agree. I always say if you're not carrying oxygen to your brain, you're going to be kind of tired, and that's part of iron's role. Your thyroid is such a big piece. Like we diagnose so many thyroid
Oh my
disorders in
God.
our
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So many.
So much, so much. For people who've had like a thyroid condition for a year but never had their antibodies tested. There's so much that we can do.
Yeah, sleep apnea, that's another one. You mentioned
Oh
sleep
my
there, and I
God.
was like, if we could refer for sleep
Oh,
apnea
I
testing.
wish the amount of people who've come back positive with that, it's astounding. Like, it's really a
My
big
sister,
part.
I don't think she would mind if I say this. Sorry, Sam. But so my sister has a thyroid condition, and we've been like navigating it for a really long time. And she got a little bit better, but she was always held back in a really big way. And she finally got a sleep study. It takes a very long time, right? So
Yeah,
she finally was able to get a sleep study, and she had really severe sleep apnea. And
right.
then she finally got her CPAP. And
Yeah.
she's like sending me pictures of like baking and doing all these things. And she's like, "Is this what people feel like when they
Yeah.
sleep at night?" Because she
No, I
thought she was
know.
sleeping. She
Yeah.
thought she was sleeping, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That makes me think of one of my patients. She's a teenager and feeling very burnt out, like very tired, like poor sleep, like all of the things. And, been working with her on the insulin piece, the metabolic piece, which is a huge part, but things weren't really pushing the needle. And finally she's like, "Well, my dad has pretty bad like sleep apnea." And I'm like, "Okay, wait a minute. Maybe we're onto something." So if there's like a referral for that, but again, it's like, half a year
Yeah.
wait, which is ridiculous. But I think that provides so many answers. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's so powerful. It's so helpful. And it's again, like sleep apnea is on the rise right now because fundamentally, yes, there's structural changes that happen, but inflammation is a huge driver of tissue and how tissue works and how your muscles relax and form and all of these things. And when we have metabolic concerns and insulin concerns and thyroid issues and all these things, we're just boom, 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 seeing such a huge rise in it. So I think we will get a lot better research on how to help people reverse it. And I have seen over the course of treatment with patients, there's something called a flow rate on a CPAP machine, which is essentially how fast they have to
Yeah.
flow
Yeah.
oxygen to you to overcome the resistance. And I've seen flow rates just drop, be like 10, 9, 8, right? Like people having to keep getting their machines adjusted. So you can make a lot of headway with addressing those fundamental pieces for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So then what are the other components? So we've got nutrition in place. That's a really important one. Check your thyroid, balance your diet to your blood sugar, check your iron. But what are some of the other kind of two big pieces that you look at in the course of treatment?
So the two other big things that I address with the burnout is like how you're moving. For everybody, it's going to be a little bit different. And I would say intentional movement in the nature for me has been one of the most healing aspects of my journey. Like I said, I've always had an affinity to the nature. I just love being out there. And in the midst of working and being a mom and trying to balance all these things, like being indoors all day with just this kind of to-do list and took that chunk of what I love to do out of the equation. But that piece was so important because I was moving and being in a place that just, feels so right to me.
Well,
And
there's
so
research on forest walks, right? And like how the essential oils in the forest can lower cortisol and
I can't
positively
even tell
affect
you
nervous system. Yeah.
what a difference of a person I am. I have the luxury of designing my schedule. I know not everybody can, but this is what I love about being in private practice. And so every Thursday morning, I enroll my kids in nature school. Okay. So they have 2 hours of unstoppable nature fun. And me and all the other moms, we go for walks that morning and we just bond and we're just moving and going up and down hills and trails. And it is just I'm a totally different person. If I could do that every day, oh my God, that would be amazing. But it, I think like that can be so foundational to somebody's healing. It's just doing a movement that they enjoy. And so for some people that might be like hit training. That's not for me. But if it's for you, like go at her.
I've said it
You
before and I'll say it again. If I am running somewhere, please pull over because I'm in
it's,
danger. I'm running from something. Everyone's like,
like
oh, look, the naturopath's out for a run. No, she's in danger.
yeah,
Please pull
but
over.
also that's a really good point, Sarah, is that I think that a lot of people have that expectation, like, I need to be doing strength training and wait, like, of course it is going to be beneficial, but do what your body lets you do. And if something like that feels like too overwhelming and like too depleting of your energy, then it's not the time for that. There's a good time and a place for different types of movement, right? And so I really like for myself, I just like lower the standard of what it is that is appropriate movement for me. And so if it's just walking for 60 minutes, it doesn't have to be high intensity. Like that is enough for me to feel great and energized and making the right decisions about food and things like that. Like it can really make a really big difference. The second piece, of course, is one of our tools of naturopathic medicine. I told you about being in the supplement stores is sometimes we need just like something to just push the needle a little bit, because I'm talking all about like, okay, what are the foundations that are important? But sometimes it's really hard to motivate ourselves to get there if we're feeling so low and down. And so, like, the first thing that we usually do in our practice, like before we get into the diet and the movement, is actually supplements, because that's something that is easy. Like that's why people like it's easy to take a pill. You'll take a
Yep.
medication because it's going to help me push the needle to get to that place. So, nervines. Love my nervines.
And it's
Yeah,
it's such an important conversation because it's funny. I had someone talk to me about green allopathy. So essentially, this concept of green allopathy is that we are giving herbs as a pill, just like doctor would give a statin. And so, like, what's the difference? And it's such an important conversation to have because I think pharmaceuticals are cycle breakers when used appropriately. And I think herbs
definitely.
are cycle breakers when
Yeah,
used appropriately. You put them in for a short period of time to be able to do the rest of the work. So if you're anxious and spinning and can't focus and can't settle your energy and can't meal plan and remember to take something or buy something at the store, how effective do you think it's going to be when your doctor says, please go for a walk and meal prep this and this food? Not very effective,
yeah,
ladies. And so
yeah,
taking the Nervines can help break that cycle. And sometimes it's only one bottle, but it's enough to just like exhale so that you can then put the rest of the pieces into place so that you don't need them in the long run.
exactly. Yeah, no, they can be very powerful. I think just as powerful as antidepressants. Yeah.
What's your favorite Nervine? Mine, I think like mine's
You go
passion
first. I
flower.
have a lot
We
of them.
always have formulas. We always have formulas, but like if I had
Right.
to choose one herb, I think passion flower would be one of my
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
because it's so versatile. Like it shows up in many of our formulas
Yeah,
because I think it just complements everything else. Eleuthera is my favorite adaptogen, but I think I would have to choose passion flower as my favorite nervine. It's just like, it's just a little hug.
it
Love
is
it.
good. I mean, yeah, it is in like both of your main nervine formulas, right? I take them and I love it. Yeah. I'm a big fan of nervines, and actually GABA is one of the best ones, like safe in pregnancy. I remember I had a twin pregnancy, a type of twins with a lot of high risk, and that was a scary time for me. And what is safe to use? GABA was like, thank God it existed there, just because I find it's really great for especially that anticipatory anxiety as well. It can just kind of like bring everything up here, down here. It works really quickly.
20
So
minutes.
what's that? Like
20
no,
minutes.
even quicker
Yep.
than that. Like I find like 5 minutes. It's just like it can bring everything from up here down. Like
Love that.
so before flights, before this podcast,
You need to, everyone
wonderful.
needs to come on and thank every single doctor who's been on this podcast that they've learned from because they're not here by choice, everyone. Here, because I am
Yeah,
individually forcing every person to show up because I think they're brilliant and I want them to share their beautiful wisdom. But no one wanted to do
yeah.
this.
Well, thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone. This has actually been fun and not as bad as I thought it would be. So,
I tell everyone that. Everyone's just like, Sarah is just the worst. Why do I have to work? So sorry. So GABA would be your
yeah,
favorite. I love that. Yeah,
I
GABA
love
can be
GABA.
so great for
Yeah,
panic, right? Because you can't
totally.
get yourself out of a panic cycle. So I love a cycle breaker with GABA.
Yeah. And like it can help you force yourself to breathe in a lot of ways too. Cause like, okay, like your breath is so short, but you take it, you're relaxed and like, okay, take decompress, right? Like it really helps to facilitate those other ways that we can cope with the anxiety. I love it. I love it for that, for acute stuff. More like long-term anxiety, I love ashwagandha. Ashwagandha's been my thing for many, many years. I just find it's just so grounding. It's good for the thyroid. It's not sedating, but it's, I don't know. I have an affinity to this one. I tend to
I don't
recommend
like
it.
ashwagandha. I'm like the one
What?
person in the world. I hate rhodiola.
Oh,
Hate
I don't like
rhodiola.
rhodiola. No,
Oh,
no, no, no,
I
no,
hate
no. That
rhodiola.
would that would
And
make
I'm
sense.
not an ashwagandha person. Like, if there's ashwagandha on its own, I will never
Yeah,
take it. Like, I would give it to a patient. I just
you know,
personally, I'm like,
you
it's
know what's
in
funny
formulas,
though is
but
because I feel like some of the nervines that I'm into, like you also don't like lavender is another one that I love. I love the
hate
scent of
lavender.
it. I have it in my diffuser in my room. It's really like in the summer I bought a big lavender plant and I put it out on my deck and I was just like smell it and while I was working, I used to use that one all the
Maybe because it relaxes you too much. And I'm like,
yeah,
gotta go, gotta do thing. Gotta
exactly. Because I'm like running on like all the things that I have to do and just like, okay, thank you, Nervines, for helping to bring me back
We have a
down.
whole different version of pot around here, everyone. We've got our little pot gardens full of valerian
Quite
and
literally though.
catnip and like
Yeah.
lavender.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also into the valerian and my cat loves that one as
That's
well. Oh
so
my God.
funny.
She's a huge fan of the tea. Oh man.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Very good. Well, to wrap up this, I would love to know what is one thing that you want burnt out mamas to know? Because that is someplace that you've been, that is someplace you walk so many people through. But what is your takeaway, take home message that you want them to know?
I think I addressed this a little bit earlier of just like if you have that high expectations for yourself and this like all or nothing personality, even just doing one thing, just choose it, is going to be something that you are doing for yourself that will help. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to
Yeah,
do all of the supplements. You don't have to do all of the food. Just do one thing and lower the bar and have self-compassion of understanding what are the factors that contributed to it. Understand like,
totally.
yeah, this is hard. And there's no shame in being in a difficult situation. I think just like having that self-compassion and acknowledgement and whatever you can do in that period of time is what you can do and that is okay. I just love when women come to us for that because that is the first step. They know they need help. And actually, just asking for help, asking for support is huge. It's such
Yeah,
a crucial factor. Yeah.
totally. Totally. Well, I love that. This has been such a useful episode. I'm
Yeah.
sure that people will get so much info from it. Thank you for putting yourself out of your comfort
Well,
zone and
well,
coming to
thanks,
hang out with
Sarah.
me.
I appreciate it.
All right, everyone, have a beautiful day. Go walk in nature, eat some protein, and I will talk to you guys all next week. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you had as much fun as we did. And if you loved today's episode, share it with a friend and leave us a review. That is how we spread this message, and that is how we are going to revolutionize healthcare in Canada for women. Have a beautiful day and be well.